All right, Drake. Well, it is time to finally talk about Bombardier versus Mariusz Pudzianowski. Yes, that's right. The fight we all wanted to see at KSW 59 that got canceled last minute due to Bombardier having acute appendicitis, being hospitalized, and removing that sweet bout is finally slated for KSW 64. Drake, I am beyond excited for this matchup. You know how much I love Bombardier. Pudzianowski also just fantastic fighter, a favorite of mine as well. Can't wait to see it happen. First up, right off the bat, acute appendicitis. Did Bombardier get his appendix removed, and is it going to play a factor in this fight?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, Pat. We got to know, does the man still have a piece of him with him? If he doesn't, he's missing a little bit. It'll be interesting. No, I don't know. That don't really matter. We don't even need our appendixes, Pat. They're a pointless organ. Bullshit, I tell you. But yes, very excited that this fight is still happening. We were so hyped and so sad that we lost out on it when we did. What was it weigh-in day or was fight day?
It was fight day. It was fight day that we lost this glorious man right here. Bombardier.
Absolute meat mountain that is.
Oh, yeah.
Bombardier, about 330 pounds or so, right? Of just pure man. Fight day. Lost out on it, so absolute late as it could have been against Pugzilla, Mariusz Pudzianowski. This is exciting. This is that weird combination, as we addressed last time we spoke about it before it was coming up. That weird mix of, or the question of, is this really a freak show fight? Because it has the entire aesthetic of a freak show fight, right? And right. I wouldn't say KSW's necessarily done anything too much like that. I remember they teased the Martin Ford thing, which that's not happening ever, right?
Right. I mean, KSW's done some freak show fights, but they've had a couple bodybuilders get in there. But generally, they're one-offs. They don't take over the whole show. We're not talking about like a fight circus, right? We're talking about the occasional fight where it's like, oh, this is awesome, and kind of adds a little bit of element. This one, to me, is particularly interesting, again, because Bombardier, if you look at his record, which we have up here, right, he's only fought twice in MMA. But that being said, he is a Senegalese wrestling champion. He's a monster, similar to Rug, who is also another big name that we've seen in the MMA world. And it's going to be interesting because this guy is, when it comes to Senegalese wrestling, is, the name. Pretty much. I mean, you've got a couple other names, but one, he is highly respected in that circle. He's also a little bit older, right? He's age 45, and it's been not quite. I mean, over half a year, a little bit over half a year. But it's gonna be an interesting fight because we know Pudzianowski can really bang. We've seen him. He has a real pedigree in mixed martial arts, whereas Bombardier does not. But that doesn't mean that Bombardier won't be able to get a win here either, because if he could utilize his wrestling, as we talked about in our original preview video ages ago, well, not that long ago, but seems like ages ago. I mean, this is a real threat to Pudzianowski. It's not a freak show fight in the sense of like you got two guys coming in here with no athletic or combat sports background, duking it out for fun. It's not going to be for a belt or, contending at the highest level of MMA, but it's a good matchup skill-wise, in my opinion. I think this is a great one-off, and if you want Bombardier or, Pudzianowski, again, is going to continue fighting. That's what he does. But if Bombardier wants to keep going, then this is a good entry-level test to see where he is at this age and in combat sports.
Yeah, no, it's about as perfect of a test as you could ask for from, again, the aesthetic and the experience and all that. And that's my favorite thing about Pudzianowski really is, Pat, if this fight was to have happened, Pudzianowski debuted in like 13 or 12-ish, right? He's been around for a good while now. If that fight happened back then, we'd be like, this is pretty silly looking, because Pudzianowski came into the sport as the world's strongest man. That was his claim to fame and what he was famous for, and then got into MMA. And in those cases, typically, that's the one-off, right? Pudzianowski, try it out, right? You know, we saw Batista do a single fight. He won, but it didn't go very well. It was a little rough against Vince Lucero back in the day. But Pudzianowski stuck with it, and he's actually become a legit MMA fighter. Like, he's not the best heavyweight in the world. I don't think he's never reached a KSW heavyweight title fight, but he's been very close. He's 15-7. He's at over 20 fights. He has committed more than any other person coming from that area of fame and, you know, expertise, whatever you want to call it, in MMA history, right? That I can, at least off the top of my head. So props to him for actually becoming a legit MMA fighter. Clearly the MMA experience is in his favor here. He has beaten notable names before. Again, not the best guy, but legit enough, and also older and up there. But again, like you said, Bombardier, despite his limited MMA experience, still has that phenomenal background in what he's best at, which is the Senegalese wrestling. So he could very well win against a much more experienced MMA fighter, which is what makes this fight so exciting. And then, you know, look at how huge they are, and look at that man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You gotta love Pooch. You gotta love him. And you talk about his record. You know, he has legit wins on here. He has some legit losses. I mean, it's not. He is not a KSW heavyweight champion. I don't necessarily think he's championship material. Maybe he could not at this stage, but I mean, he is a legit fighter. He's had legit wins. I think this is a perfect match for Pudzianowski in his career. He's 44. You know, he wants to keep fighting. This is a great guy to test him, to really just say, hey, like, let's see if Bombardier can actually fight. Maybe it's one-off, maybe it's not, but it's intriguing, right? Like, you want to talk about intriguing matchups outside of the rankings, outside of, you know, the road to a championship. It's KSW's version, and I know I'm going to get flack for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's KSW of Lawler versus Diaz, right? Both guys, Lawler versus Nick Diaz, both guys are over the hill in terms of their prime, but it's still fun to match them up together. And when you're able to take older fighters or fighters past their prime, but put them against an equal opponent, you can still have good fights. And that's what I really think this is going to end up being. It may end in round one. I could easily see this. But, I mean, who is not intrigued by this, right? To name one person that doesn't want to see if a 45-year-old Senegalese wrestling champion who just looks like a, you know, massive dude and, you know, can throw people around. If you watch or two out there on YouTube, pretty sure. I mean, he can just slam people, ragdolls people, taking on former world's strongest man who has become a legit. What's not to love here?
I can't think of a thing, man. I mean, that's the thing about it, right? Is we say it looks like a freak show fight, but really it's not. And so people who don't really know anything about either of these guys, and, you know, KSW's promoted this a good amount going back to when it was first supposed to happen. So those casuals, they don't know shit about KSW or these guys. They're going to be like, what is this garbage? Get this out of here. These guys. Or, I mean, I guess there'll be some of those people, but on the other side, there'll be the ones who are like, oh, hell yeah, there's two big dudes going at it. I'll watch just because that's what we got here. So that is very exciting for maybe more people than not. And then the deeper you look at it, the better it gets, as mentioned. But yeah, man, this is just fun. You cannot go wrong with fights that are just simply fun in MMA, as long as, you know, the circumstances are right. You mentioned the Diaz and Lawler comparison. Some people argue that that wasn't right. And I mean, this is a lot more fun than that, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And of course, this also tops off a very solid KSW 64 card, which KSW always puts on good shows, but we do have a title fight in the co-main event. So this is getting top billing over title fights. I really don't like that, honestly, in any organization, but I'll make an exception for Pudzilla and Bombardier, because why not? And then, of course, plenty of great other fights on the card. And we'll also announce when we'll be getting Khalidov versus Solditch, Pat. That is a super fight that they teased us into. I thought it was going to be on this card. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What a weekend that's going to be. But no, they are announcing that fight the date on this card. So that's something to look forward to as well. That fight's going to be nuts. Kaladov is an absolute legend, and Soldich is no joke as well.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a super fun one. Would have loved to have it on this card, but not too bad about it because it's happening. So I'm just happy we get it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let us know in the comments who you've gotten this one. Real quickly, Drake, who do you got, Bombardier or Puj?
I gotta go Pudzianowski, the MMA fighter. I know.
Get out of here. No, you don't need to hear anything else. We're going Bombardier all day, and I don't care what you say. Let us know in the comments if you're going with Bombardier or Pudzianowski, what you think of the fight. If you're interested, if you're not, let us know why. Why wouldn't you be interested in this fight? Give us some feedback here. We want to hear from you. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification, all that. And yeah, I'm just super excited for this fight. Let's hope no issues this time. Let's hope we get to the cage.
Big meaty men slapping meat.
Big meaty men slapping meat.